Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Like trying to spread cold butter on fresh bread. It's the Audience of One show on Conroe's 106.1 and 104.5 FM, streaming on irlonestar.com and available wherever you get your podcast from. I am Andrew, sitting next to the guy who wasn't that impressed with the Hollywood Boulevard. It's Dick. I like a good musical. Schisler.
What's up? What's up?
Man, the music faded out and it was just me doing that. I gotta have a little music for a little longer. Okay. Got to appreciate the great John Skeels with our intro music there. All right, starting over, like trying to... Oh, just kidding. You know, man, right. you are the bit guy, right? You're into a good bit. I mean, I can't stop thinking about your passport picture.
Oh, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just I can't stop thinking about it. That you purposely wanted to look like a convict. You know what I think you should do next?
Okay.
I think you should do 90s era Jennifer Aniston haircut.
No, No.
No, I think it'd be great. You know what I mean when I say the gin is what I think what they used to call it? No, they called it the Aniston, right?
No,
layered in front.
The only reason that passport thing exists is because they had so many rules. And I'm like, well, if I just show up and do your rules, I'm going to look like a convict. So I was like, it is what it is, whatever.
Do I sound different to you, by the way, in your earbuds, in your headset?
Why do I sound different in your earbuds?
Yeah, man.
Like bad?
No, I just feel like I can hear a pin drop from 4 miles away right now. It's kind of strange, but yeah. If you think I sound fine, Mr. Sound Guy,
I can adjust it.
I mean, look, yeah, you can turn me completely off.
No, I can clean it up. It's just
okay. That's fine. I mean, if it sounds good, it's just I'm like, holy, it seems like it's coming in hot, but maybe not.
Oh boy.
I gotta ask you a question, man. Are you a hand dryer or paper towel guy? I had this weird...
It depends on the scenario.
Oh. Do tell.
Well, like
how messy you are?
Well, no, like if I'm cleaning up poop, I'll use a paper towel or toilet paper. If I'm cleaning up like a spill, I'll just use a wash rag.
No, okay, no, I mean to dry your hands off with.
Oh.
Are you a hand dryer guy or a paper towel dryer guy? Maybe I didn't say that the right way, but...
Okay, now I understand. You're talking about if we're out in public.
Yeah, in a public restroom.
Yeah, I would say it's whatever's available, and I get my hands completely dry.
Okay, so you really don't have a preference then. I am not a fan of the hand dryer, right? I think they're nasty.
Really?
Yeah, and it was interesting. I kind of did my own... Well, because we talked about poo plumes not too long ago, right?
Yeah, I get
and those things are all in the air, the microbes and the bacteria, and all those hand dryers are doing, although they don't contain a large amount of bacteria in them themselves, they're just pushing that stuff around everywhere. I just feel like they're disgusting. And usually the ground right below it is mildewy or something. It's always wet.
Paper towels just be sitting... Because sometimes when you go to restaurants, the paper towels are like on the sink.
No, I don't like... Yeah, that's gross too, and they're wet.
I don't really care because I'm trying to get out.
Well, my point is, I was at the airport, and they had a hand dryer and paper towel right next to each other, so you could choose. I'm like, this is glorious. And as I'm drying my hands off with, of course, the only logical choice, paper towels, I'm noticing that just about everybody in there was using the paper towel. And I thought maybe my preference is the norm, that most people, if given the choice, are going to use a paper towel because, one, it actually works. The dryer...
Most people use the dryer incorrectly.
Yeah, you're supposed to rub your hands together. It has a picture. It shows you how to do it, right?
Most people use it incorrectly. I mean, I'm down for whatever.
Yeah, I think they've got these new ones now. They're called, like, the Accelerator.
You ever seen those Dyson ones?
Yeah, I think that's what's made by Dyson. Yeah. They blow out, like, I don't know, 400 mile an hour.
But you dip your hands in?
Oh, yeah. I've actually those are gross too.
Dip.
Because all the water kind of drips down on the bottom, and then there's nastiness on the bottom of that thing.
Why would your hands be dripping at that point? You're supposed to flick like 4 times and then use it.
Yeah, but there's still going to be some moisture that comes off and drips off, especially
not when you flick 4 times. You shouldn't have that much.
This is reminding me of going to the restroom too. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, you wash your hands, you flick, and then you go to the dryer.
Okay.
Or you just use your pants. Who cares?
So I have started implementing the pants. If there's no paper towels and it's dryer only, I'm going shirt or pants, man.
I don't really care about
I'll
my
actually even
clothes.
just do this on my shoulder, too. I'm like, I got to just dry it on.
Yeah. See the armpit.
You're right. I don't know. So I guess it's not that unusual. You know what isn't also very unusual? High-end stores in the airport. I don't understand these. Like, I'm just trying to catch a connecting flight, and I'm thinking, is someone just walking by going, you know what would make this trip complete? If I had a Fendi right now. Like, I'm just trying not to find an
What's a
$8
Fendi?
$8 bag of chips, and this guy's over here buying a $1,000 bag. Fendi, like a high-end purse or something.
I mean,
I don't understand the high-end retailers in the airport.
I imagine because everyone's always going to be like, oh, I'll buy you a gift on my trip. And then, like, rich people just like, oh, I have to.
And then they forget. They're like, oh, man.
Look at this. I can buy this purse for my wife that I hate. And she's going to love it.
I get. That's probably what it is.
That's if I had to guess, that's what
But there's never anybody in those stores. And I'm thinking, how many handbags, especially $1,000 handbags, could they actually be selling in the airport? I don't know, man. I always walk by them. Anyways.
Well, one thing I enjoy about those kind of scenarios is similar to like ballparks and not necessarily malls, but we allow in society these restaurants and these commercial places to increase their prices by 25% just based off of it's in this cool building.
Yep.
So
and we're just okay with it.
Just and I never fully understand, especially like when you go
captive audience.
Yeah, and it's like, oh hey, you're gonna buy this book. We're going to charge 25% more because it's inside of an airport.
Yep. Airport pricing is out of control.
It's just funny to me.
Like $16 for a little pre-made tuna sandwich or something, and that's not that unheard of.
But like in my mind, I'm like, I could get it if it's like, oh, hey, this is a really hard place to ship stuff to. Mm-hmm. But it's not. Like, especially like a Bush.
Yeah, exactly. There's planes coming in, ingress and egress of the goods. It should be easy to get these things in and out. I just dropped that in so smoothly.
Yeah. No, I never fully understood that, and that's especially like with ballparks. The only thing I could think of is they don't want to sell this stuff to you. They don't want you to buy it. So it's like, hey, let's just charge an arm and a leg because that way we don't have to keep much inventory.
Except for the Atlanta Falcons. Were you aware that they do not charge exorbitant prices for their...
Well, again, like I'm down.
They're like basically selling it at cost. It's nice.
Yeah.
More people should do that. On this same line of thinking, I had an experience at a vending machine.
Okay.
And I bought a bag of Doritos. And I think we've reached the breaking point on the size of the bags of chips in these vending machines because it was about the size of a 3x5 card and it had 6 Doritos in it.
I like it.
For $1.50.
You gotta watch your weight, dog.
All right. What are we doing here? Seriously. Well, I will gladly pay $3 if you just put a normal size bag of chips in there. What's you're not fooling anybody. See, maybe 20 years ago, it was one of those things where you go to the vending machine and you get a bag of chips out and you go, I think this is slightly smaller.
Yeah.
They're pulling one over on me. Now they don't even care. They're not even trying to fool you. They're shockingly tiny. I have to buy like 3 of them just to get a normal size bag of chips. And at that point, why don't they just offer normal size chips?
I mean,
why, Dick?
Why? Isn't there like a grocery store in them sometimes?
A grocery store in an airport?
Yeah.
No, this wasn't at the airport. This was just actually wherever I was hungry. And
well, whoever does the actual vending machine.
They're making a killing. We need AOO vending machine to supplement the
the
station and the show.
I wonder what the city would do if we put one outside the station and says like all proceeds go to Lone Star Community Radio. Because
I don't know. There's only one way to find out.
A lot of people just hang out here.
Are there special stores where you can buy like the vending machine size bag? There has to be, right?
Yeah, because I mean the vending machine at the bowling alley is managed by the alley itself, not like a third party. So that
do they have normal size chips?
They just go to wherever you get the wholesale stuff.
Costco.
Or, yeah, wherever the wholesale. Because that's one thing I always loved was you always like, especially when if you had kids in Little League and everything, and you go to the commissary and they sell you this like this is not for resale. And they did
right,
and because this is just like parents running it. This isn't some, Airmark. No one cares, but it has this big old. This is not like, especially like the Laffy Taffies and all the candies. Like this.
Yeah, I never understood that as a kid. I would see that on various food items. This is not for resale, and I had no idea what that meant. Like, what does that mean? Not for resale? I'm just eating it. Yeah. I wasn't thinking big picture, man.
There's probably some law or something stupid. It's like those kids, the stupid kids selling lemonade.
Oh yeah, man.
No quality control.
I have to be careful because
Greedy little bastards.
I'm talking. Yeah, exactly. I am talking about people in my neighborhood. They could be listeners, but I think I've said this before. The shakedown is on in my neighborhood. I know we must be growing the next generation of entrepreneurs because they are constantly trying to sell you anything: bracelets, lemonade, sneakers, adornments, whatever, little tattoos, and it's always, hey, come get this. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's to the point where it's getting quite annoying. Anyways, I had this recent issue with a bug, Dick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was out in my backyard, and I guess I was leaving the house, going through my backyard to get in my car, and I went to open the gate, and this little green bug kind of flies. It surprised me. I think it was like a grasshopper or something in the grasshopper family, grasshopper adjacent. And I turned around and I'm looking for him and I can't find him. I'm like, oh, where'd that sucker go? He must have flown off. That sucker. Yeah. So I get in my truck and I'm driving along, and I've been in the car about 10, 15 minutes. I look over and he's crawling along the dash.
I like it.
Which means he had jumped onto me, like on my back, and I didn't know it. I got in the car, he jumps off, and yeah, luckily it wasn't, something nasty, like a nasty spider to freak me out. Because I think I have had that happen before where I'm driving and I've had a spider just go right in front of me.
Oh, it's wild.
But he was pretty cool, so he just hung out with me for a while, the duration of the ride.
Was yesterday we're grilling and doing stuff outside, and you know when you have like your hands are full,
yeah,
and you're like trying to move something, and then someone touches your leg, you're like, oh, get off my leg. And so we're sitting there, my hands were full, and so I just shook my leg. I lifted it up, shook it, and then went down, and then I felt a crunch.
Oh no!
And I was like, what was that? And then I looked.
It was a tiny bag of chips from a vending machine.
It was a wasp, like that big.
Good shot.
That landed on my leg.
That was what you felt.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, get off my leg!" And then I just put my foot down, and somehow when I shook him, he flew right under my leg.
Some call that a million and one shot, right there.
I was like, "That's pretty crazy."
Yeah, it is. Good thing you didn't sting your hand.
No, it was my leg he landed on.
Oh yeah, but when you shoosh it, you can hit it with the backside of your hand. I've done that before. Never fun.
But I wasn't even looking because I had something in my hands. That's what I'm saying. Like I just kicked my leg. I lifted it up really high, and I was like, ugh. And I wasn't, because I was looking like up, and I just went like that. And I go, what? Huh?
Made a recent purchase earlier. Well, I guess I didn't. My son did, but it's at the house now. It's one of those salt guns, those bug assault guns.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, I'm having a real good time with that. It just uses regular table salt, and you give it a nice. You can go along and just destroy anything in its path. It's greatness.
Yeah, it hurts, by the way.
It does say do not shoot in face. Yeah. So I take it you tried this.
It does hurt.
I don't believe it.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is like people leave them outside so the moisture gets to the salt and they become more of rocks instead of spreads.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. They do implement the shotgun technique, I've noticed. And I thought that it would probably come with larger pellet salt, like, and shoot them singular, but no, it's just like a spray of.
Yeah.
But bugs don't like it.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's
effective.
It's very entertaining.
Yeah, I've noticed on wasps you got to shoot like 2 or 3 times, which I have no problem doing. But like flies, they just evaporate. They're just gone. Dude, just annihilated him. It was greatness, man. Awesome. Were you ready to start this show, buddy?
Yeah, man.
So, pretty cool story. I don't know if you heard this or not, but last week, a YouTuber or streamer, as they call them. You're a streamer, aren't you? We're streamers right now.
Yeah, I got a stream.
The guy that got arrested for peeing on that lady in the airplane, he was a streamer as well. So anyways, he tried to stay awake for 12 days to break a world record.
And then he did.
What?
Did he die?
Well, no, he didn't. But lots of little interesting nuggets about this story. First of all, I was not aware, and I guess it makes sense, that you can die from lack of sleep. Sometimes I feel that you may be suffering from this as the show is going on. I'm like, oh my God, death is upon him.
Is it like a heart attack happens usually, or what?
I think your body just starts to shut down, because you don't have any energy. But this guy's name is Normie, a live streamer, stayed awake for 12 days straight to break a record that stopped being tracked in the late 1990s after people who tried reportedly died or had long-term insomnia and brain fog afterwards. So it's pretty nuts. Basically, he had a friend helping him out. And after X number of hours, when he started getting sleepy, his friend would smack him or push him and wouldn't let him fall asleep. It's nice to have a friend like that. Everybody needs a friend like that. But basically, YouTube kept cutting the stream off. Like they kept cutting it off because they were basically promoting unhealthy and safe practices, and they didn't want someone, dying live on their platform right there. But this guy made it for 12 days. But what I think is interesting is it's not actually the record. I don't know if he had his wires crossed or whatever, but the record is actually like 18 days. Yeah, held by Robert McDaniel, who remained awake for 18 days, 21 hours, and 40 minutes. So this guy, Normie, who's 19 years old, came up woefully short. So I don't know. I guess he was doing it just for more follows and clicks and whatever. But
he's a streamer.
Yeah, that's all they're doing it for. I mean, I guess this worked, but I mean, really, you're not gonna log in to see it. I wouldn't think until the very end because it's probably pretty boring.
No, I mean, I think it's a generational thing, man. The younger kids are just like, it's just normal to put on a streamer and just let it go, even though they might not be watching it. It's just like, oh,
yeah. Yeah, it says the Guinness World Record stopped monitoring this record in 1997 due to the inherent dangers associated with sleep deprivation.
I like it.
Yeah, it says studies suggest that even small amounts of missed sleep can negatively impact our mental and physical health. Would you do that for your friend, though? If I was like, all right, bud, we got to promote this show. I'm going to stay up. We're going to.
Well, I feel
you smack me every time I start dozing off.
Yeah, I feel like there would be some medical thing where it's like, hey, you have to stay up and for 36 hours or something. And I'm like, okay, we'll hang out.
I don't know. I'd be afraid that if you did die, then it'd be on my conscience that I mean, you've got to be held liable or be partly responsible for that death, wouldn't you think?
Well, I think it's also idiotic to want to stay up for 15 days or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It says to remain awake, Normie had his friends take 12-hour shifts to make sure he did not fall asleep.
Because at one point, I imagine after 36 hours, you don't really know what is awake or what is sleep.
Yeah, you start to just, I mean, so if you open up the link I sent you, there's a picture, I guess, of a still shot of the YouTube stream, and the guy is just standing there with his head down. They said eventually he became essentially unconscious. You couldn't understand what he was saying. He lost the ability to read and speak in clear sentences and was just sort of blah, blah, blah. And then afterwards, after his stunt, he slept for 38 hours straight.
I like it.
Are you showing the picture?
No.
Okay. Well, it's pretty interesting. It does, again, look a little bit like an Al-Qaeda video there with his friend sitting next to it. It says he was banned from YouTube and TikTok for other issues like this, but I guess they just keep turning it back on. I don't know how that works. My assumption is if you get banned, you can't just immediately get all your following back, but he was able to record it. Would you do that? What's the longest you've ever stayed up?
I want to say 24 hours.
Really?
Yeah. And it was just by accident because we were we're camping or something.
Yeah.
And we were working on something, and it's just one after another. Next thing you're like, oh man, it's already, 9 a.m. and I've been up since 9 a.m. the other day.
Yeah, so. I think I did around 21 or 22 hours just this past week. And I was thinking about it. That's been the longest in a long, long time. And it took me several days before I felt right. And it's all because of traveling and work and layovers and in the middle of the night and yada, 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 yada. And when I finally got home, I said, man, I got up this morning at like 6 a.m. and it's like 3 a.m. now. Oh, man. I did not feel very good. That's for sure.
All right.
Dick, I don't know if you saw this, but from ABC News, an Army soldier regrows what? Blank for reconstructive surgery. You probably already know.
What?
Regrows her ear.
Okay.
Now, this is pretty interesting, and I've seen stories where men have regrown other parts. I've decided that it was probably too delicate of a scenario for me to bring to air, so I didn't talk about it, but years ago, a man did grow other parts, but this is a soldier who lost her ear in 2016 after a car accident, had a ear grow on her forearm, and then once it was fully grown, they took it off and sewed it back on.
That's awesome.
It is actually really, really cool. Plastic surgeons at William Beaumont Army Medical Center in El Paso, Texas, performed the Army's first ear reconstruction and transplant just this past week or a few weeks ago. Man, that is kind of amazing that we've gotten to the point in technology where we can just start regrowing stuff, kind of like lizards.
So she was in a car accident.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And lost her ear because it skidded.
700 feet and flipped several times. Lucky that's all she lost was an ear.
What I love about that situation, though, especially with us being the normal people in society. We don't know.
Well, define normal.
Well, I mean, like we're not privy to what new medical things. So if someone goes, "Hey, you don't have an ear," like you can bandage it, you can get this prosthetic, but there's another option. Like, oh, what's that? We can grow it in your arm. I'd be like, what?
There's a picture of it too. You can kind of see it.
It's a video.
Yeah, it's a video, but you can see kind of like where the ear is starting to form on her forearm. It's a little disturbing looking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and I'd be like, oh, what does that mean? And knowing me, I would be messing with that thing the entire time. I'd be like, ooh, cool.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
So the man I was referring to earlier, who had to have
look at that.
His male part regrew on his forearm. In order for it to properly grow and be useful, he had to inflate it at times. So he would walk around with this appendage fully erect on his forearm.
I like it.
You'd have to keep it wrapped up because, I mean, now, getting back to our conversation from last week, if he took that bandage off on his forearm, would that be considered flashing? Or
Probably.
Would that be considered exposing?
I don't know. Because it's one of those things I always wondered, like, say you're a weirdo and you draw a private part on your back.
Yeah, I've done that. Go ahead.
Like a giant one, right? You get a tattoo.
Yeah, if you're going to do it, draw a giant one. Yeah,
and
of course.
then you go to the beach and you take it off, and like you can clearly see this giant private part on there. I wonder if that's considered flashing.
Good point. We had the conversation months and months and months ago, episodes and episodes ago, about the guy who got the abs tattooed on him, right?
Yeah. Smart.
Right. And I said it looked realistic, and you said, no, this guy's not doing it to make it actually look like abs. But in this case, with genitals, I guess, tattooed on your back, you could make that same argument. I'm not really intending for it to look real. I'm already
the ear thing would be great though. I would be showing that off all the time. I'm like, look at this. Like I had an ear in me.
Like once it was on, or even when it's on your forearm?
In your arm.
Yeah,
dude.
I would too. Once it's in its normal place, that's not really that impressive.
I imagine it doesn't take.
So if you came to someone, you said, "Hey, see this ear? It used to be on my arm." You'd be like, "Nah, that's amazing, cool." But if you walked up and said, "Check out this ear on my arm," now that's a story.
Yeah, especially how long it would take. Because I imagine it's not like a week-long process. I imagine it's probably a year. Did it say, the article say how long it took to grow in the arm?
It did not.
That's
not that I can see from here. But it would be kind of interesting, though.
That'd be a great way to make money.
What, growing extra parts?
Yeah, for people.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's actually. This is a great side hustle for you.
Well, I mean, like it's like, oh, I get
Dick's
plasma. I get
spare
plasma.
Parts.
It's like, hey, I grow stuff on me.
Interesting. I wonder if it has to be grown from the person so that the body doesn't reject it, right?
Probably does.
Because if you grew an ear for me and I put it on, it's always going to look like Dick's ear,
I don't know. Because I know they were doing this stuff on mice. I know that.
Yeah, I have seen that before, where a little normal-sized mouse is walking around with a human-sized ear on its back. Do you think you can hear really well?
Pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, I guess.
We don't care.
I'm looking to see how long this took. It did not say. But it makes me wonder, though, at what point, like, where's the line of things that we can and can't grow?
I think it's up to the doctors. There's some doctor out there who's like, hey, we can do fingers and toes.
I mean, if we can already do
knees and toes.
If we can do a male penis and we can do ears, we can probably, what else could we do? Fingers and toes, perhaps.
I think you could do everything at one point.
You kind of need to have another arm growing out of your forearm.
How about a head?
No, that's not useful.
Like a jaw.
Another arm, though.
That would be pretty serious.
Any spinal column. Teeth, any spinal column.
Yeah, and I'd be like, that's my twin brother. That's what I would tell people. It's like, you would see my twin brother, and like you show your shoulder, and there's like teeth coming out. Like, yeah. I'm pretty sure that actually has happened before. Like when you're, when like your samesies inside the womb, and like you're born, and like your brother died.
Well, it's like the Greek, my big fat Greek wedding. I think there was some line in there, right?
Like, these are teeth from my brother. That's cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. Great story.
I think it would freak people out.
But I do like this idea of commercially making this available.
I like it too.
Just constantly growing around, walking around like 4 or 5 years.
I mean, you can carry people's babies. Why not?
This is almost exactly the same, yeah.
I gave birth to a heart.
And an ear.
Oh, that's cool.
Dick, were you aware of the Florida Python Challenge?
Nope, but sounds cool.
So I think it's going on right about now. And basically what this is a challenge in Florida for hunters to come and see who can snag the most and largest pythons, because apparently they got issues there.
Yeah, that happens all over the country.
Sounds like would you like to go and hunt
No,
some pythons?
I hate snakes. I would not want to be like that kind of knowledge to me would worry me if I met you. Like, what are you really good at? Like, oh, I'm really good at hunting down snakes. I'm like, whoa. I mean, how long does it take to do that?
Dude, I just grow ears on my arm. You hunt snakes. What a freak.
Yeah, what a freak. But no, I've heard about this before where they do cleanouts.
Yeah, but this is like a competition. Like it's a big festival. I've heard of
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It says the annual competition aims to rid the Everglades of the Burmese python, an invasive species that poses a threat to the ecosystem. Yeah, man, it's kind of cool.
Well, what I like about that is some dude lives in the town and has no part of this, and he's like, where are all these people coming from? And then that would weird me out. Like, everyone's truck is filled with snakes. It's like everyone has a snake for some reason.
This is true. It says that there is a $10,000 grand prize, and the event lasts for 10 days. I bet you can find some pretty good snakes in 10 days, man. Yep, 10 grand it says. I don't know. I guess that's kind of worth it. If you're already somebody who's inclined to go hunting, and you're like, I can take off a week's vacation and see if I can win 10 grand.
10 grand,
What if it's winner take all? That would suck. You know what I would do, though, is I would raise one and feed it all year long. Get that thing to be massive. And then take it out and kill it. And get first place. Of course, you'd probably spend more than 10 grand feeding that thing and housing it for a year.
True.
It doesn't say if it's like number or size. It's probably number.
I imagine it's number.
Wait a minute.
Not weight. Like, how many did you catch?
Wait a minute.
Oh, you found it?
It says the Florida Python Challenge starts in August and incentivizes hunters to euthanize as many invasive Burmese pythons as possible. But, get this, according to the competition rules, you can't use a firearm to kill the snakes. You got to wrestle that SOB.
Oh, shoot a crossbow, dog.
Like a knife or something?
Yeah, like a spear.
Dude, this is getting really cool. So now you're the type guy, I hunt snakes with my bare hands.
Yeah, screw that.
Yeah. That's some little puny ear you got in your puny ear on your forearm. I'm gonna go wrestle snakes. Oh my gosh. Sorry, onesies, I have a tickle in my throat.
Tickle.
And then I like how it says there are it gives a whole diagram, legal ways to kill a Burmese python in Florida Python Challenge. And it says access point from step 1. It's got all these places to stick a screwdriver into the head of the snake. It's giving you tips. So I guess you sneak up on it and take that. It's a letter opener. But look at this. Are you seeing this? It's literally, it says cerebellum and then something forebrain. Then it shows a screwdriver going in.
That's what you got to do, dog.
Oh, man.
I like it.
Yeah, it's been going on for 10 years. So anyways, Dick, were you aware that our friends to the north, and I believe this is North Texas, Capel ISD is helping seniors prepare for the real world with a class called adulting? You know, when we were kids, it was just called like home ec or stuff like this. But no, now it's actually, they're calling it adulting. Could you have benefited from using an adulting class in high school?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
No, I already have parents, so I'm good.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. These are probably skills that you probably should be learning in the house, but you're not.
Well, it also depends, like, because every family has they're all different dynamics, especially when it comes to when people say adulting to me, it's like, oh, responsibilities.
Yeah,
right?
it's exactly what it is. It says we're teaching them how to prepare a meal or meal plan and how to go shopping for groceries. Well, first of all, you're going to have some cash to go shopping for groceries. Step 1, get a job, man.
You're all about that. Get a job.
It says most of the kids are surprised to learn that they can microwave eggs. I have to admit, I'm an adult. I didn't know you could do that.
That sounds disgusting. It's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I think we need to do an experiment. I mean, microwaved eggs, what would that turn out like? I suppose.
Well, you know what'd be hilarious?
It's like they would just splatter
a challenge
everywhere.
For you would be like, you can only use the microwave for all your meals.
Okay, sounds healthy.
So that would be interesting to see.
For how long?
I would say a week.
I don't think that'd be too.
No, I would do a whole month because that's like at the breaking point. You're like, I do not want to eat any more Stover's microwave.
Oh, so I was gonna say, so are prepared meals already like is that allowed?
I don't.
in your
I
made
would
up
say
on the fly competition.
I would say one meal like that, one pre-made meal per day.
Okay.
But the rest has to be made and like
You just have to cook it in like
your-
cooking
your-
chicken breasts.
Yeah, your utensil
eggs.
is the microwave. That sounds so disgusting.
Challenge accepted.
That
Yeah,
sounds so
I could do it.
disgusting.
I could do it. How long is it going to be till they start offering classes in like social media? Or they're probably already doing
Yeah,
this, right?
it depends on where you go to school.
How to properly use an emoji. You know?
Well, like, cause like I always
Okay, you're using too much punctuation there. You're spelling that entirely too
Yeah.
correct.
Well, I mean, like you have Montgomery here has the FFA, and then I don't think the Woodlands has it. So they're learning about trailers and horses and stuff, and the other school isn't
Okay.
because they're a city school.
Okay. Well, I got this story out of order, by the way, and
Way
you
to
wanted
go.
to talk about Pavel Durov. And this is the Russian-born tech entrepreneur who developed Telegram, who was recently arrested in France
Yeah.
for exposing himself. Oh, wait, no, sorry, different story. So, yeah, you brought this to my attention. I did not know who this guy is, nor did I know what the app Telegram is. Care to expand on this, Dick?
So Telegram is basically like a WhatsApp or like a messenger app.
That's a play on words, by the way.
WhatsApp?
For what's up?
Yeah.
Just so you know.
So basically, it was like they kind of were the first one after WhatsApp to be like, hey, this is actually true encryption. Your conversations are, not exposed to the public. And and I'm thinking, and when I saw that he got arrested, it was weird because basically what it sounded like, he got arrested in Paris, and it's because the app couldn't be accessed by police, and so they're arresting him for like holding information. It's not him personally has information, but the app itself, that's the whole benefit of the app, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm using it, bro.
Apparently, the police in France are tired of it, and they're like, "Hey, you're doing something illegal
Well,
with
it
this
says
app."
his arrest reportedly stems from allegations that his platform has been used for money laundering,
Yes.
and drug trafficking, and all this other kind of criminal activity. And what I told you earlier before the show, I said, I don't know that he can be held accountable for every action that goes on his site unless he was aware of it and he was just complicit and said, yeah, I will allow this to go on because he was benefiting from some of it,
Yeah, well, that's what it was weird.
Through users
when
or
I
whatever.
saw it, I thought it was a personal thing, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this guy's 39 years old and he's been doing that naughty stuff on his own app. Way to go, idiot!"
Yeah.
But then it didn't turn out that way at all. It was like the users were doing this, and I guess France or whoever was like, "I'm getting fed up. This guy needs to go down."
I guess. And you said they had different rules in
Like
other
different,
parts of the country,
different countries have different rules
different
for
parts of the world.
and it's also about access because it's not like you refuse access for certain law enforcement. I imagine if same thing with Google and Apple and everything, like the Apple will give your information up. If you are being accused of some like heinous crime.
Yeah, it's probably in the bylaws. They're like,
And
yeah,
it-
we'll squeal on you, man. We'll roll. We'll roll over on
But
you.
yeah, but it's just funny that this guy would get arrested.
Yeah, but I just wonder if that's setting some sort of precedent, not just there, but maybe throughout the world for some of these social media, either the CEOs or ownership or something,
Yeah.
that they are going to be held responsible to a certain degree of what goes on in their social media app. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Well, it's kind of like, did you see that article from, I think it was 2 weeks ago? This poor young lady died at like a Disney thing.
She died at a Disney restaurant
Yeah.
because she was allergic to something in the food.
But then the court actually got to court, and basically Disney's perspective was like, hey, you signed the terms of service for Disney Plus, which means you won't sue us or something like that.
yeah, they really...
That to me is hilarious. But
yeah, they really did some back bends to get out of that one, and I think it's still ongoing.
yeah, it is.
Yeah. Basically, at the start, when she did pass away, I think Disney came out and released a statement saying, we don't own and operate the restaurant. That's an independent operator. It just happens to be on a Disney property, so we're not liable for her death, okay? And the public backlash to that was, as you can imagine, not very positive. And then they kind of had to spin it a different way of saying, well, actually, we're not responsible because you see in the fine print of this app that you signed up for, it says you can't sue us. And I don't know that even if you did, if you were so inclined to read that, you're going to think that extends to, dying in a restaurant
Yeah.
on their property. So,
I liked it.
do you know what property she was on? I'm curious. I don't know that.
I just
As someone who just recently Disneyed,
I have
like
no
to
idea
know.
how Disney works, but I just like that idea because it's like imagine signing anything and it's like, oh, Apple is a sister company to this company, so you can't sue us because you have an iPhone and we know you signed that thing, and
Yeah.
it's just not going to happen.
Well, good for Disney. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great press for them. I'm sure they're really going to be hurting after this.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's probably a pretty good time to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about cities that are actually paying you to move there.
I like it.
Audience One Show. We'll be right back. Hey, it's Andrew here from the Audience of One Show, inviting you to enjoy the mildly amusing antics of myself and Dick Schisler, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. on the Audience of One Show. We bring you funny observational humor, odd news stories, and every now and again, one brave soul as a featured guest. Don't miss out on a few laughs and a great time right here on Conroe's 106.1 and 104.5 FM with the Audience of One Show.
All right, welcome back to Audience of One Show every Wednesday.
For now.
We're moving
For
it
now.
pretty soon. We'll make an announcement. Make sure to follow us on social media. Look up Audience of One Show.
Big show announcement.
You can always send
Huge.
Always send us articles and funny stories at audienceoneshow@gmail.com. You can sponsor or donate by visiting our website at the show page, irlonestar.com/AOL.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it normal. Nope.
But we are a nonprofit radio TV station, so we love donations, which someone gave us a donation.
We
the
did.
other
We
day.
did recently just receive another donation, so thank you very much. I don't know if the person wants to be named, so I won't say anything.
We'll keep that
Unless
under
you want
wraps.
to be named. This person
we
did
will
not
name you.
Yeah, we will
It will
name
be
you.
your name
They
day.
didn't indicate whether or not they wanted
Speaking
to.
of names, you were talking about Bob Saget's sister
Oh.
being called gay.
Yeah,
Gay
no,
Saget.
So yeah, man, there's not much to this story other than
You just learned that.
yeah, I heard somebody say that Bob Saget had a sister who tragically died in the 90s from some weird disease, kind of unnamed or whatever.
sad.
But her name
Was gay.
was gay,
That's amazing.
and her
to me.
last name was Saget.
Yeah, I love it.
Makes for an interesting name.
Yeah.
Gay Saget.
Well, it's,
Jeez Louise, man.
well, what's weird to me about that is, at that age, because, Bob Saget was, what, like, he was in his 60s, right? Or in his 50s?
He was, yeah, something like that, early 60s.
And so, he came from a different generation. That was a good long time ago, and people name their kids that. But,
Well, it's not so much the gay part. It's the first name along with the second part, or the second and last name.
I like it.
That's
You
I
know
don't know.
what? You know what? Another crazy
like a calculated
Hollywood
mis- error
fact
there.
that I learned was,
Uh-huh.
do you remember Seabass?
I know I want to kick his ass.
So you remember Seabass, right? You
course.
like from Dumb and Dumber.
Uh-huh.
Well, you know what he does?
You mean the actual actor?
The actual person, Seabass.
No.
He is the president of the Boston Bruins hockey team,
Holy cow.
and he is a Hall of Famer.
He's in the Hockey Hall of
He's
Fame.
in the hockey,
Seabass.
Seabass.
That's awesome. He should have a star on the Hollywood Boulevard.
So what got me thinking though is, how do you want to be remembered as?
The greatest broadcaster that ever lived.
Because
Or just a podcaster. I don't know.
Because everyone I know would know that guy as Seabass.
For sure.
From Dumb and Dumber.
He's probably done all these amazing professional things in his
And
life.
his name is Cam Neely, and he straight up is in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Like, he was a phenomenal hockey player.
No one cares.
He's the current president
Nope.
of the Boston Bruins.
Good for you. No one cares.
But I was like, can you imagine being in the Hockey Hall of Fame, but everyone knows you as Seabass?
Yeah.
Isn't that hilarious?
It is pretty cool.
So
I hadn't thought about that guy in a while.
I know, but it's just funny to me because I was like in his. I don't know if he retired right when he was in that because he was Seabass in like Me, Myself, and Irene.
Yeah, I think he was.
And so he was like, I guess he must have been buddies with the Farrelly brothers. Or
Yeah,
whatever their
probably
names.
so.
But that
That's
was
awesome.
really like, you can look him up. Cam Neely, he is straight up the president of the Boston Bruins.
Awesome.
Hockey team.
I'm going to do it immediately
He
when I get home.
played for the Boston Bruins for like 10 years or something like that. But everyone knows you as Seabass.
It's awesome.
Isn't that pretty great?
That is pretty awesome. That is awesome. Great side note. Dick, did you ever have, or maybe your parents ever have, a waterbed?
Yeah, my brother did,
Yeah.
and it was terrible. You ever try to get out of a waterbed?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I have.
hilarious. It's almost like it's its own comedy sketch trying to get out.
Yeah, they were really, really popular in the 70s and 80s. And I knew some friends' parents who had waterbeds. And as kids, looking back on it, it's pretty gross to think about.
Yeah.
But we would play on that thing because it was just so much fun. And it was one of those waterbeds where you literally would just kind of, push on one side and it would ripple all the way over to the other, because they liked it, I guess, soft like that. I have never slept on one. I did lay down, and it was always kind of a weird thing because you could hear it like,
Yeah.
And they're horribly uncomfortable. But they kind of suddenly went out of fashion, and you just hardly see them anymore. One of the things that I think is pretty interesting about it is the water that was inside of those things is like disgusting. It gets nasty after a while, and you would have to like drain it. What happened to all that waterbed water? Like it had to have gone into our system somehow, and we're drinking waterbed water at this point, right? That water's been recycled through our system, through the ecosystem. Several times now, we're drinking waterbed water at this point. But one of the things that I didn't realize...
So you can get waterbeds right now.
Yeah, of course, you can still buy them. But it was kind of one of those things, it was real popular, but it also seemed kind of like sexy. If you had a waterbed, you're like, oh, that dude's kinky. I'm not entirely sure why, but it was kind of associated with, a little risque behavior with the misses. I don't get it. But what I didn't realize in researching the waterbed is that waterbeds were the result of a master's thesis invented by Charles Hall in 1968, who presented his thesis project to the San Francisco State University. His original prototype mattress filled with starch and Jell-O. That's what it says here. I'm assuming it's not the same kind of Jell-O that you eat, but it would be kind of cool if it was. It said after earlier prototype failures. And these mattresses were meant to get rid of pressure points and make use of heat to relax the sleeper's muscles. It was made out of vinyl, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, so he presented this, and I'll be damned if it didn't catch on. It said, thanks to the era in which it's born, the waterbed then became associated with pop culture and the summer of love. See what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it was just because it came out at that time, So
I mean, they're fads.
They were fads.
Well, I mean, today everyone gets those beds that you can like adjust.
Sure, yeah, like the sleep numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these were, and you
What's
could put
your number?
That's
I'm like,
right. You could
"Just let
put
me
more and
sleep."
less water. But some of the things that are really interesting, one, they would leak.
Have you seen those beds that cool?
Yeah, they have like heating coils in them or something. Yeah.
Where they cool, not just heat.
Did I say heating? I meant cooling
Yeah.
coils. I said that.
And that to
completely
me is kind of wild.
Yeah. They're either made of a material that stays cool, or they actually have some element in it that cools.
Because I would
like,
mess with my
air
friends
circulating.
who have that.
No way.
Yeah.
You're always about messing with friends.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's my favorite thing about having heated seats. It's like you just kind of casually turn it on.
Oh yeah, and they're sitting there like, whew, geez, Louise,
Like,
it just
what's
ain't
going
cooling
on?
off.
That's pretty good.
But no, what's interesting about these water beds is, of course, they would leak and cause issues, especially if you're up on a second story, but also the sheer weight of them. I can remember hearing incidences of like floors in apartments falling through because of the weight of a dang water bed, because they weigh thousands and thousands of pounds once you fill them up. It sounds terribly dangerous.
Yeah. It's another thing you got to manage, and I do not want to do that.
No, yeah, and I think that's what ended up happening, right? You're supposed to, like, manufacturer recommends that you change the water out every 6 months, and you're thinking back on it, you're like, I didn't change that thing out in 8 years.
Yeah,
Good
you
God.
can get a
then you're
water bed
sleeping in that
for-
nasty stuff.
I mean, I guess, you can get them for about $2,000.
Yes, it said what made them great eventually led to their downfall. If the water was not treated with a chemical like Clorox, you could end up with a mattress full of algae. Yeah, and so there was also, of course, as I said, the problems having a leak. Man.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know how many of them are still around, but I know you said you could still buy them, but I can't remember the last time I even saw one.
Me either.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a life choice you got to make.
It really is.
It's dedication.
Again, I always talk about red flags for a female when she meets a guy. I've named off a few: reptiles, fish tank, waterbed. Red flag. If you walk into this dude's apartment
Red hair.
and he's got a waterbed, ladies, just turn around. Just turn around. It's not worth it. Whatever's going to happen next ain't going to be that great, first of all.
Well, no, you
Second of all,
got to take it for a ride one time, and then you can say you did it. Right?
I suppose that's one way of looking at it. I'm trying to help the ladies out here. Oh, my gosh. It said at one point it was a $2 billion a year business in 1984, but now only occupies a niche market.
I believe it.
kind of like our audience, a niche.
Because I just remember when I visited my brother and like he was out of town, I was using his house. Like that's all he had was a waterbed, and I was like, I hate this. Like I can't get in and out of this thing. It's just difficult to like. I'd rather sleep on the couch.
Yeah, it's funny how never transitioned to other pieces of furniture though, like water couches. And if it did, I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah.
Now that seems kind of cool. Water couch.
I guess that sounds uncomfortable too.
Yeah, Dick. If someone paid you $10,000, would you move to, I don't know, Little Rock, Arkansas?
Yeah, sure.
Would you? I guess you could still technically run your station. It just wouldn't be IR Lone Star. What would it be called? I don't know.
Little Rock.
Little Rock. It just rocks a little bit.
Yeah.
Would you still play country?
We do it. We'd
Please,
host,
no.
all the shows would be on waterbeds.
There you go.
But
that is actually yacht rock.
so Little Rock's paying people to move there?
Well, there's several cities. I just named that one. They may actually be one of the cities. But it's this phenomenon of smaller cities that are trying to attract white-collar, sort of college-educated folks into their cities by offering them like $10,000 and $15,000 incentives if you're a remote worker. So essentially, this is people who can, quote, technically live anywhere they want because all they need is an internet connection. So some of these cities have picked up on this and saying, okay, if you make in between, I think it's like $15,000, $60,000, we'll give you $10,000 to move there, blah, 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 blah. And I'm trying to find the list. This page, again, reset. There it is. Tulsa, Oklahoma is one of them. They launched a program in 2018. And this just says West Virginia, like the entire damn state.
Oh, I would not doubt that at all.
Yeah, West Virginia. It says $12,000 cash incentive, $10,000 the first year, and an additional $2,000 if you can manage to make it that second year. It seems like that should be backwards, to be honest with you. You give them $2,000 the first year and $10,000 the second, but this is, after all, West Virginia. They probably hadn't figured that out yet.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Indiana, again, it just says Indiana. Noblesville, a suburb of Indianapolis, $5,000 relocation grant. But a total package of $15,000. Topeka, Kansas. I'm sensing a trend here. These are sort of middle of America flyover country, as they like to call it. Although West Virginia isn't necessarily considered
deplorables.
That. Yeah, deplorables.
You know what's so funny to me though, because I had several friends who do the remote work. Like one particular, he has a friend, like he's a mutual friend in Mexico, so he goes to Mexico like once a month.
While he's on the clock and still working, I guess.
Like he works because he like house sits for his buddy who has a house in Mexico City.
That's not remote work. You got to be at home.
So,
kind of part of the job.
Well, I mean, like he's like, hey,
that's not his job.
Yeah,
he just does that on the
He
side.
works remotely, so he just goes to his buddy's house to house sit.
Contributing to the gig economy.
Lives in Mexico City. And I'm like, man, that'd be so cool to
tight, bro, tight.
Have those different connections.
Yeah.
So I'm going to live in Tulsa. I have an apartment in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
You need to have like a little mobile studio.
Would you consider that a red flag? If I had multiple apartments all over the country?
No, perfectly normal, perfectly
I think that'd
healthy.
Be pretty tight.
Yeah, it's weird. But the thing about doing that, let's say you take that incentive of $10,000-$12,000 and you're in a place you really don't want to be in. After a couple years, the money's gone, and now you're just stuck in Topeka. Sorry to all our Topeka fans. Shout out, we love you.
See, what they make the mistake, though, is if they're offering me money, that means there's room for negotiation.
Yeah, I think they probably top out at around 10, 15. I haven't seen any more that were more than that.
I wouldn't take the cash. I'd be like, I want tax benefits here.
I just want more vacation.
If you're going to give me $10K, I would do at least $100K in tax benefits if I build a house here.
Yeah. Okay.
Keep your money. Keep your cash.
You got to work on it, man. You got to work the angle. Speaking of cash, did you know that a penny costs 3.0 cents to make in 2023, and a nickel cost 11.54 cents, and that the U.S. Mint realized a loss of $249 million making these things in 2023.
Do you remember throughout your adult life, there was coin shortages randomly happening every 5 years?
I used to hear about those.
Because I want to say the coin, there was a quarter shortage here in Montgomery County. I want to say a year and a half ago. Because I remember going to a fast food place and it's we don't have any quarters.
I do remember this.
And I was like,
what caused that?
Yeah.
COVID. I'm sure it was.
I don't
know.
know if it was COVID, but
I have no idea.
But it was just quarters. It wasn't any other type of change. It was just quarters.
So, we talked about words that I want to implement because it makes me seem really smart. They're calling this loss of money seigniorage. Have you ever heard this?
No.
You may want to look that up. Seigniorage. Seigniorage. Boy, that is a fancy word. But it does beg the question why we're still making these, and wouldn't it just make more sense to just do away with them, especially, again, if it costs that much more? What I think is interesting about this is the 1 cent coin increased to 3.07 cents from 2.72 cents just in the last year alone. And the cost for 5 cents rose to that $11.54 cents from 10.41 cents, which is a 10%, almost an 11% increase.
Yeah, I believe it.
Just in 1 year. So inflation is hitting money too. Think about that.
Is that how it works?
Yeah. No, I don't know how it works.
I don't know how it works either.
But they said that
I think it's all hokey. It's all hokey, man.
The quarter, let's see, the quarter still costs less than 25 cents to make. I had the facts here, and I can't find it. But anyway, so there's still some of the larger denominations, is that what you call them? The larger denomination coins, they actually still make money off of making them because after they produce a quarter, it's worth 25 cents, only cost them 18 cents to make or something like that. But not old pennies and nickels. So yeah,
one day they'll get rid of all that stuff.
They've got to, right? I mean, it makes no sense.
It's not even going to have a discussion. Like one day it's like, hey, we decide not to make pennies in the year 2035.
And I know you love your change jar. You're a change guy. You keep all the change. But do you ever go in and do the Coinstar and actually turn it back in and get money? No, it just kind of sits around the house.
No.
Okay. And then what do you do with it? You make a necklace?
No, I roll it up.
You ever done the thing where you flatten them like at a state park or whatever, and you make a flat penny?
I roll it. It actually is kind of funny where back 40 years ago you can roll up your own deal and take it in. You take it to any bank now.
You roll your own, huh, bro?
But depending on the bank, they won't take it no matter what, even if you rolled them. They're like, no, we don't do it.
Yeah, we don't even want them. You just take them, throw them right back at you.
Which is weird to
you
me.
Want your penny. Again, nobody wants this crap. Nobody.
Yeah, businesses do.
Yeah, I guess if you get enough of them.
Yeah, you have to give change.
By the way, if you're so inclined to donate to the show and you want to do it in pennies, we'll take pennies as well.
Yeah.
Just drop it off in a large sack here in front of Conroe Tower.
I was
marked AOO.
Is
Thank you.
Coinstar still around?
I'm sure it is. I think they took this nasty surcharge, like 10% right off the top. It was quite a racket, too.
Let's see. I'm looking right now. They're in Kroger's?
Yeah. I think they're still around, Coinstars. But I haven't, every now and again, I used to hear them running. Clink, 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 clink in the stores. I haven't heard one run in quite some time. I don't know, man. Are you familiar with who Galen Windsor is? Now, this is pretty interesting, but Galen Windsor is known mostly for having eaten uranium on live television in 1985. He was a chemist at the Hanford nuclear site. Really, really interesting story. So this guy had claims that radioactive materials and their harms were greatly exaggerated. And to back up his arguments, he did a couple of crazy things, including eating uranium. Do you know what uranium looks like, first of all? Isn't it kind of like a silvery looking rock or something like that?
I don't know. I like this idea of this guy eating.
Dude, can you imagine that? Just to prove a point. That's a heck of a bridge to die on, man. I mean, or hill to die on. That just, I'm going to say, you know what? If you don't want to believe me, that's fine. But he lived to the age of 86. So is it really all that bad? I think there's another story where he also jumped into a big vat of some radioactive material too, and started doing the Scrooge McDuck backstroke in the coins to prove that this radioactive material wasn't that harmful. Dude, this guy sounds like a hit at the party. Dude, do the thing where you eat uranium again. Come on, man, eat it.
I like it.
Yeah. In the 1940s, Windsor was a key player in the early American nuclear industry. And he worked, like I said earlier, at the Hanford nuclear site. But I guess eating the stuff was just a side gig. They need to start putting that in the vending machines. I mean, doesn't take much of uranium, right? You just probably make some money off of that. How much you think a little dab on uranium will cost?
Someone would be like, there's a nuclear bomb.
Pennies and nickels. I'm trying to find this in this article here where he also jumped in something as well, like a big vat. I'm trying to see what it is. Doesn't say in this article. I read a couple of them, articles about this guy. But to me, I think he should have a much higher level of fame. If you're eating uranium on live television, this guy needs a star on the Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. Anyways, thought you'd have more to say about that.
No, I mean, we already talk about eating stuff so much on television. It's like, like ate a baby.
Speaking of babies, were you aware that Ric Flair was abducted as a child?
Oh, really? Did he have like an important family or something? Or was he just so cute as a baby, someone had to have him?
No, I think he was part of a child trafficking ring.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. It says in a recent interview conducted by former NFL great Shannon Sharpe, he's got his own podcast. I think it's fairly popular.
It is. It's good. He's got some wild guests on there.
Yeah, I've heard about it in the periphery. I haven't actually ever listened. But apparently he went on there a little bit ago, several weeks ago, and confirmed the tragic story of his childhood abduction in 1949 when he was a newborn. He's 74 now. Isn't that crazy? He said at first he kind of seemed reluctant to give the details about his family, but when Sharpe brought it up, but eventually, here it is, Club Shay Shay podcast. That's what it is, the Club Shay Shay. But eventually he opened up. That's so nuts, man. And eventually I guess he got out of the ring and someone adopted him.
That's good.
Yeah.
Way to go, bro.
Yeah. What do you think of old Ric Flair? That guy, something doesn't seem right about him.
All the wrestlers have a little weirdness to them.
Yeah, he's like perpetually tan. Anybody in their 70s shouldn't be jacked, by the way.
Well, no,
and he's still huge.
I think they're, I don't know what the correct term is with wrestlers, but I feel like they have imposter syndrome in a funny way, because when they try to like become successful at wrestling, they're always going like, this isn't a good job, I got to become a movie star.
Yeah.
But then like you meet wrestlers and no one takes you serious because everyone like thinks it's fake and it's entertainment.
I have news for you.
And it is, well, you know what I mean. I'm talking about like there's this weird veil for them, like they don't think they get respect. And then it's just like people like Stone Cold Steve Austin, I think he just accepted what it was and he just took the money and living his own life.
Yep. He's done okay for himself.
Yeah, but I think like you have people like The Rock, and The Rock's probably like somewhat embarrassed of that.
Of his wrestling past? I don't know. He's gone back out there recently.
Well, I know,
made appearances.
I meant more, but he's working overtime to erase that by being a big movie star.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I don't want people to remember me as...
Yeah, I'm The Rock.
I don't want them to remember me as Seabass.
Getting back full circle. So this was interesting. Apparently he was put up for adoption, and his mom, who adopted him, was running an underground kidnapping ring. Or she would go and adopt kids, but then...
Dang.
Yeah, dude. And he happened to be one of those
You know what's so
kids.
strange to me about that kind of behavior?
She was involved in kidnapping and selling over 5,000 babies on the black market.
It's like, those aha moments people have.
Who's buying a black market baby?
But no, who finds
You never know what you're going to get.
Who finds themselves, that's what I should do with my financial life, is like, you can make money by pretending to be a foster kid or parent, and then you just start selling them? See, that to me is really weird.
Again, another opportunity we've missed.
Yeah.
What's
the aha moment for her? I want to sell my own kid.
That's probably how it started. I look down on people who sell kids. I'm just going to go out there on record and say it.
Well, I mean,
I think it's a bad thing.
I think if you're making a good deal, or you should always think twice about it. But I just think about who you're running around with. Like,
the crowd you run around with, man.
Selling kids. I can't believe someone's doing
Yeah, it said they pulled scam on single moms, promising that their kids would be kept in a nice place, and probably people who were down on their luck and poor.
Well, that's one thing I always like.
Oh, man.
So
terrible.
Think about the drug dealers out there, right? And
thinking about them right now.
And they're growing their business. They're
working hard,
streets,
man. Working hard,
getting the connections done, and then like at one point they go, "Hey, man, we shouldn't just sell weed. We should sell
kids
heroin." And then it's like, "Okay, we'll sell heroin." And then someone's like, "Hey, man, you're already moving on. Let's sell guns." And it's like, "All right, what's next? Let's sell people." Oh yeah, okay. Let's sell medical body parts. Like
sounds like conversations they had when they were high. By the way.
Well, I know that's what I'm saying. Is at one point you're like, "Hey man, what's next? What are we doing? What are we branching out to this year?" Oh, I was thinking ears. We could grow ears.
No man, I got this crazy idea, man. These little kids.
Yeah, it's like kids, man.
That's like kids' ears? No man, like whole kids.
Like whole kids.
But how do you get one? Now that would be interesting if you could actually grow a kid, a full kid on your forearm.
Hey, Andrew, I need you to go in the back. I need you to grab Timmy.
Why is it always Timmy?
Timmy's right next to the gallon of meth we made, and it's between the meth and between the opioids we also freshly pressed. But you can find Timmy in his cradle right there.
Kids are a lot of trouble. To me, it just doesn't seem like it's a good return on investment. I mean, they're always crying. They're crapping themselves. You got to feed them. I don't know. It's just not worth it. To me, go to the meth. Just makes more sense.
because I'm surprised there hasn't been a modern-day slave movie made where, like, the guy breaks slavery and becomes something really big.
Well, I mean, Ric
Ric
Flair.
Flair. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Pretty phenomenal.
It is. I think he's worth untold millions of dollars. There's no way of actually knowing. It's not like it's a website you can look that up. But I guess he's worth like probably $200 million if I had to guess.
The most amazing thing
I'm gonna
about
look it up
his
now.
occupation, the most amazing thing about his occupation is he gets paid just to be himself. So, like, that's the thing I want to be set up for.
You kind of do the same thing, sir.
Well, I mean, like, I want someone to say, like, hey, you're famous. If you want to come to my kid's birthday party, I'll pay you $5,000. I'll be like, all right, cool. And he's like, well, do you say the line, or you just want me to be there and I can eat your food and drink your drinks?
You bring. And by the way, he's not as nearly as wealthy as I thought.
I mean, he's got at least.
Oh no.
Was he at $500?
Yeah, it says his net worth is $500,000. Where did I get this idea that he was super loaded? Did something happen financially to him that I was not aware of? But it looks like he has landed on maybe some rough times.
Do you really believe that website?
CelebrityNetWorth.com? Yeah, it's extremely accurate. Actually, I did hear an interview with the founder of this website, and they employ like 11 people. It's not just one guy, and they do have methods of going in and trying to accurately find, and I've heard some of them are fairly accurate and some of them are wildly incorrect.
Well, I mean, isn't that the benefit of being rich is you don't have to, like, you're always find out ways to hide your money?
Yeah, supposedly.
So it's like, maybe $500,000 is how much he spends a year.
Yeah, they go in and they look at transactions like that too, and then they make estimates.
But then it's like,
yeah, and they make estimates on it. I had a point I was going to make, and
terrible point.
No, I don't. No, I don't remember what it was. It was based off what you were saying, and I got sidetracked when I saw the shocking low net worth of Ric Flair. I don't know, man. Were you aware that? Oh, nope. Sorry. Do you know what the ultraviolet UV index is?
I want to say yes.
So it's an international standard measurement of the strength of the sun and the sun burning, producing ultraviolet radiation. But I didn't realize that on certain days, hotter, colder, whatever, there can be different UV ratings.
Yeah, that's like where people tell you not to go outside because you can get like really burned up.
Your skin will just immediately, like the bug assault, just your skin just flies right off of you. No, it's kind of cool, but in some cases, when you have like a UV index that says of 12 is twice as intense as the radiation of a UV index 6. Wow, go figure. But in some cases, a 30 minutes of exposure to sun and a UV index 6 can develop in... No, this makes no sense. Therefore, under similar... Yes. Oh, God.
This makes no sense.
They write these things so bad. Basically, if you have a UV index of 12, you can get burned in 15 minutes, and a UV index of 6, you can get burned in 30 minutes. I didn't realize a sunburn could occur that quickly. Now, I'm a pale-skinned guy. You're a pale-skinned guy, too. Unfortunately, we don't tan, but I don't think I've ever been sunburned in 30 minutes before, or even 15 minutes. So I'm wondering, like, what parts of the earth you got to be on to get burned that quickly.
I imagine Mount Everest.
Yeah, technically you're closer to the sun, right?
Yeah, I imagine.
But it's cold up there, so the sun's not as intense.
It's actually probably worse because it's reflecting
off the snow. Yeah, but does that affect the UV?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's great, though, because I always see that on my weather app. It's like UV level purple. I'm like, oh, man.
Okay, so this is interesting. It says an index of 0 corresponds to 0 UV radiation, as is essentially the case at night. An index of 10 corresponds roughly to midday summer sunlight in the tropics with a clear sky when the UV index was originally designed. I want to know what the UV index is for today. Could you look that up?
I just did.
Okay, I'm going to guess
it is
4.5.
It's 1.7.
Oh, you know why? Because it's overcast. In fact, it rained on me as I was coming over here today.
So today's high was 9.8 at
Now I
1
feel like
p.m.
we're really broadcasting. We're giving the weather.
9.8, very high. Danger.
UV index?
Yeah.
At what time?
1 p.m. today.
Oh, earlier. So then it cooled off or went down because of the cloud movement. Interesting.
There you go. All right, man.
Well, interesting. Were you aware, and this is our quick hit here at the end of the show, that the Wheel of Fortune show tapes their entire season in 30 days?
Yep.
Okay, and that's the end of the show. No, you're aware of that. I think we need to
I
implement
think
something
the
like
Price is
this
Right
for
does the same thing. I think the Price is Right does a thing where it's like 3 weeks on.
What an amazing gig, man. To get paid untold millions. I know they, what's his face? The host there that just retired. Well, I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Pat Sajak. Got paid like $10, $12, $15 million to work basically 1 month out of the year.
Isn't that awesome?
Unbelievable. I think we need to do that with this show. Let's just come in here one day and start recording the entire year's worth. And you can just see like the degradation of the show as we keep broadcasting longer
We're
and longer and
staying up
longer.
for 15 days.
This is show 63. We're going to stay up for 15 days just to record the show.
But no, props to that guy. I would do it.
Yeah. But I just thought it was interesting. All in 1 month. All right, guys. That is all we have time for this week's episode. Join us again next week right here on the Audience of One show. Yeah, and as Dick said earlier, kind of alluded to, we will have some show announcements coming up. I have a busy fall schedule, so not only do we have an announcement, potentially a new time and release of this show, we're going to be doing something a little different on some of the days where I will not be available, but more to come next week. But don't you worry, onesies, we will continue to bring you riveting content.
I like it.
As much as we can.
IRLoneStar.com/ALL. If you want to sponsor the program, reach out to us at audienceofoneshow@gmail.com. You can also donate to, and then always looking for great stuff. So just contact us, audienceofoneshow@gmail.com. And Andrew, it was
radio
great.
voice, fake radio voice.
It was great to see you, Andrew.
I'm glad you got to see me.
Yeah, you're looking pretty good.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we'll see you later.
See my forearm. Laters, guys.